Cultural Center of the Masonic Temple, we present WNUP TV Thursday Talks, Food and Wine. We would like to take this time to thank and acknowledge our sponsors that help make this performance possible. A nice beer distributorship called Cadden Brothers, ERA, One Source Realty, First Liberty Bank and Trust, Hazori Dental, and two of our girls are in the audience right here, Sanderson State Street Salon. Thank you very much, because sponsorship is so important to us to put these performances on, so we thank you to all of our sponsors. Yes, a nice applause. Thank you. We would also like to extend a thank you to our partners, the Everhart Museum, the Lackawanna County Library System. This performance is supported in part by grants from the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts, the Lackawanna County Council on Education and Culture, and the Lackawanna County Commissioners. And please don't forget, we have a couple upcoming events. The next WNUP TV 16 Thursday Talks will continue on December 3rd with a talk on gifts and decorating. We will have Ron Wendell from Wendell Company, Alan Beachko, and Lisa Smanagi from Versailles. So please come to that. That's going to be a great night. Also, we have our up-and-coming comedy, which continues on November 14th here at 8 p.m. right in Chapman Hall. And save the seats for the Letterman Holiday Show. Does anyone here know who the Letterman are? Yay! See, Kathy do. That is held on December 18th, and you can check our website for a full schedule of events at www.scrantonculturalcenter.org. We'd also like to remind you that the entertainment doesn't stop with the show. I think the hood room will be open after this downstairs in the lower level, so join them down there afterwards. So we're going to get this show on the road. Our first demonstrator today will be Mr. M.J. Doherty, and he's the owner of Dionysus Downtown. We'll talk a little bit about wine. Please welcome him.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday Talk series. I'm very happy to be here. I'm from Dionysus Downtown on Penn Avenue. Everybody calls it the wine bar. Tonight we're going to talk about wine, and I'm kind of going to do two things, because we couldn't really decide what to do in the short amount of time I had. So we're going to be, the bartenders are distributing a little bit of wine for you that ask you to hold on to, don't chug it down. We're going to go through a proper tasting, talk about why people do the things associated with what people do when they have wine. But before we do that, I just wanted to talk to you guys quick about the holidays coming up. So we have the holiday season coming, and even when it's not the holidays, just a kind of like a wine buyer's guide. A lot of people get intimidated with wine, which is one thing that I talk about all the time when I'm talking about wines. For some reason, wine is intimidating to a lot of people, probably because there's so much variety, and it's not like other alcohols. You don't walk in and you don't know that Grey Goose is the best, or you don't know that Budweiser is what a lot of the guys like. It's so broad. So people have a tendency to go for the nicest label or the more expensive wine when you're buying a gift. Well, one of these two things, I think, is the wrong thing to do. And it's not the wine label. Wine labels are a great way to reflect a vineyard's character. However, on the flip side, price is something that can vary dramatically for reasons that aren't really necessary. You can go to the liquor store and buy a $50 bottle of Pinot Grigio, but I guarantee you there's an $8 bottle of Pinot Grigio that will taste just as good. A lot of times you're paying for the label for the vineyard, for the status of what their vineyard is. Well, they may make the best Cabernet Sauvignon in the world, but their Pinot's okay. But because they're who they are, you'll pay for it. So a lot of times, especially as the holidays come along, I try to tell people, don't worry about how much the wine costs. Think about the crowd that you're going to, or if you're going to a party, if you're going to a barbecue and you want to bring a bottle of wine. Maybe not bring something that's very thick and something that's very dry. Bring something light, something sweet, something you'd want to drink if it's hot out. At the holidays, the two wines I always tell people, you can't go wrong with a Pinot Noir. It's a red, but it's light. It's drinkable. People can get it, even if they don't really like red wine, they can get it down. They'll drink a couple sips and they'll be like, okay, I can do this. White wines, as far as white wine goes, a Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio was basically blended for women in the late 18th century, but more towards the beginning of the 20th century, when Prohibition had ended and people didn't really want to be drinking, women thought that wine was a status symbol. They didn't want to drink beer because of a lot of different reasons. So they went back to this Pinot Grigio that used to be a staple that kind of went away for a while. They drank it because it didn't have a lot of flavor. It was a muted taste. It maybe have a little bit of citrus. It wasn't too sweet. It wasn't too dry. And so when they're out and they're socializing, they would be able to have a glass of wine, partake in the social aspect of it, and be able to know what the taste was going to be like. So a Pinot Grigio is always a safe bet because it's always going to taste about the same. It's not going to be very dry. It's not going to be very sweet. It's going to be kind of a muted taste with a little bit of zest, if you want to call it that, a little bit of citrus. And then a Riesling. A Riesling, really, you can't go wrong with it. Even if people don't like sweet, someone there will drink it, and it's a nice gift to get. So we had talked about, should I just talk about like what to buy if you're at the state store? We're really lucky in this area to have two really great stores. It's not just Clark Summit is a great store where you can ask the staff and they really know their wine. But also Meadow Avenue. Meadow Avenue is getting there to have a good selection, and the staff there is also trained that you can go in and ask, say, hey, I want to spend $10. And they're not really big wine drinkers, or they're making this for dinner. What do you think I should get? So, with that being said, as they're passing out all the glasses, does everybody have a glass now? It's hard to see. I think everybody does, right? We're getting there.
Anyone need any?
All right. Well, if you're still going, we're going to jump to the other topic. I think we need some over there. So we're just going to talk about. I just want to bring that out there because a lot of people had those questions first. What do I buy when I'm going somewhere? So that's my one segment. Second segment, wine. You go and buy it. You're at a restaurant. They come over. They open up the bottle. They hand you the cork. A lot of people sit there and they don't really know what to do. They get nervous, or they just say, oh, it's fine, oh, it's fine, oh, it's fine. Give it to me. Well, you don't want to do that because there's a real reason that they're doing this. Wine costs money. It costs money for you. It costs money for the vendor. So if you're out to dinner and you want to get a nice bottle of, say, a Merlot, and you buy a $60 bottle of Merlot, well, they still probably paid $30 for it. When you come over, when they come over to you and you order it, they want to open it. They want to watch you say, okay, it's good, because when they walk away from that table, it's now your bill. It's not you're stuck with it. So this is your time to tell them you like it, you don't like it, it's not what it's supposed to be, and kind of really get your money's worth. So this is why the wine, the degrees of the wine tasting are important, because it lets you know if you're getting your money's worth, and it's letting you know if the wine is good, if it's something that you're going to like, if it's going to go with what you're eating. And also, this is how you know what the winemaker wanted you to experience. So, today I brought, and I chose this on purpose, I brought a 2003 Zinfandel in Northeast PA. 90% of people that come in and ask for a Zinfandel want white Zinfandel. And when you say, I don't have white Zinfandel, I have red Zinfandel, they don't realize the difference. And for people who don't ask for white Zinfandel and want a nice red, when I say Zinfandel, they say, oh, no, 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 no. A Zinfandel is a varietal that is one of the purest, oldest vines. You can get amazing, amazing wine from a red Zinfandel grape. So today I have a Camelot. It's California 2003 Zinfandel. The red Zinfandel grape produces a really fruit-forward, light taste of berry, but as you swallow it, it becomes thick, it lingers, it has a lot of nice finishes. the taste will change completely from the beginning to the end. At the beginning, you'll taste lots of berries and plum. At the end, you'll taste leather. You know, and people find that funny, but it'll taste like, you know, a leather glove, like a mitt. And that's because of the tannins. You know, it's supposed to taste that way. But you can't figure this out unless you do the appropriate things to know, you know, to get the smells, to get the tastes, and to make sure that this wine is the way it's meant to be. So I have a bigger glass just so you guys can see, but you all should have glasses there now. When you get a glass of wine, you know, people think it's pretentious. A lot of people, you know, don't want to sit there and swirl it or look at it. But really, don't worry about that. It's not about being pretentious. It's about making sure you get what you like, and you want to make sure you get a product that's pure. So the first thing you would do is you would take your glass and you'd kind of tip it, and you'd look at it. There's white tablecloths, or you use a napkin. Look through it. This gives you a good idea of, first of all, the purity of the wine. If there's anything floating in it, stop right there. You don't want anything floating in your wine. That's never good, no matter what they tell you. Also, if it's cloudy is a sign that something might be bad with the wine. If you look around the edges, at the very rim of where the glass meets the wine, you'll see that it looks a little watery, but it has a little bit of maybe a little bit of darker red, almost brown or orange tinge to it. That shows the age. If it was very watery and then just red, it's a very young wine. Something that's maybe more than 5 years, in this particular varietal, you'll see a little bit more of an orange, of a brown. That shows that it's maturing and the chemical compounds are really setting in to make a really robust flavor. So we check the glass, we make sure there's nothing floating, and if there's stuff floating in it, I didn't do it. Blame them. Okay? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to give it a good swirl. And this really is the most important thing, because most of the taste you're going to get from the smell of it. A lot of people will just go like this and be like, it's good. You're not getting the full effect. So what I tell people to do when they're starting at first is to put the glass on the table and just really give it a good rotation. You know, I rotate it counterclockwise. Let it go up on the sides. Don't worry, a wine glass is made for you to swirl it. As soon as you're done swirling it, stick your nose right in. Right in there. What do you smell? A lot of people will say alcohol. Yes, you're going to smell alcohol. But if you smell too much alcohol or it hurts your nose, the wine's either too warm or it's no good. The warmer the wine is, the more alcohol will come out of it, and that's not the way you're supposed to taste it. So with this wine, I smell some berries. I smell plum, a little bit raspberries. Get some olive in there. Just a little bit of olive. Another thing, the power of suggestion is incredible. I did a wine tasting not too long ago where these people were very much telling me that they didn't need to do this. You know, they paid for it, but they're like, we know. So as I was doing this, it was a Pinot Grigio or it was a Sauvignon Blanc or something. I go, oh, and smell that leather. You can smell it. And they're like, yes, leather. No. Leather's associated with red wines because of the tannins, you know. But the power of suggestion goes so far. People, as soon as you say something, people will be like, yeah, I can smell that. It's in there. But as far as this wine goes, you definitely got some berries and you got some nice plums and some nice fruit. So that's the first thing you're going to do. The first part of the two-part process, which makes you really know if you're getting the good wine. The next thing you're going to do is the hardest thing to describe. It's much easier for me to show you and for you to follow me. It's the sip. Sipping wine is crucial to know if the flavors are appropriate, to really get an idea of what the wine is made to be like. The biggest mistake that people make is they just take a sip. You need to keep your head forward. You want to keep the wine in the front of your palate. If it goes beyond your tongue, the acids in the back of your mouth are going to mix in with it, and it's going to kill the intended taste of the wine. So, when you go to take your sip, you want to tilt your head to the front. And then, as they say, and it's not the best illustration of how to do this, but they say you want to kiss the wine. So I am going to demonstrate this, as it's much easier to see and understand than for me to tell you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to taste the wine. I'm going to inhale air and let the air roll over the wine at the tip of my tongue. So my head will be tipped. I'll make a little pucker, and and you'll be able to hear it. That's not rude. That's smart. So you're making sure you're getting the taste that you're paying for. So I'll do this, and then you guys can try, and I hope to hear lots of slurping. All right, so this is how we do it. Kissing the wine. You guys hear that? Okay, so I don't need to do it again? All right, so I want to hear the slurping. Try it. Tilt your head forward. Breathe in. There we go. We got some good swirlers back there. I could hear the air going over it.
I did not hear any moaning or groaning on that one. Except from...
Steam your lips. That's how you want to look, like you're kissing the wine. By doing that, it's hitting your taste buds over and over again. It's also hitting the top of your mouth a bit. The top of your mouth is starting to get a little dry, so I know it's a dry wine. The bottom of my mouth is starting to bring out acids, which tells you that it's juicy. So yeah, I tasted some, you get those plum tastes, the berry tastes, but as you swallow it, once you swallow the wine, it has one taste, and then a second later, it changes. I can now taste that dry leather. I can taste the olive, and that is from the tannins of the red. And that, a wine that will taste one way in the front and have a different finish is a sign of a really well-made wine. Wine is different than other beverages, obviously. First of all, it's been a part of human culture for 3,000 years, even further than that, but they document 3,000 years ago people making wine. It's a part of cultures, it's a part of tradition, and it's also very medicinal. A lot of wine people will say that we wouldn't be where we were today if they didn't know how to make wine, because they couldn't drink the water, but they could drink the wine. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that doing that stuff makes a difference or no? Yeah? When you go out for a bottle of wine, or you're at a restaurant, the other thing that's important is make sure the temperature is right. If you get a white wine that comes out and the glass is frosted, you can't taste anything. As soon as it touches your taste buds, they'll go numb. And you might as well get water. Well, water won't give you the buzz, but whatever. You're not going to get your money's worth. Make sure that it doesn't smell too much like alcohol, because that's how, you can't know if it's room temperature by touching it like this. But the smell, you can know. And by sight, you can know if it's too cold, if the glass has frosted. So those are important tips to remember as well. So, I only have 15 minutes. I try to throw a lot of information in there, and anybody have any questions or anything they want to know about this wine in particular, or the tasting, of the steps of the tasting, or even suggestions of wines to get?
Who has a question?
Anybody? Wine with turkey dinner. Well, this is the only time you're ever going to hear me say, go to the Finger Lakes. Finger Lakes, a lot of the East Coast wineries, which are very sweet wines, lots of high residual sugars, which are not my favorite thing. That doesn't mean that they're not good. It's just I personally am not a very sweet wine drinker. They make a lot of cranberry infused or cranberry wines. Cayuga Ridge up at Lake Cayuga in the Finger Lakes makes a cranberry essence wine, which honestly is fantastic. It is like tasting cranberry sauce. So it's very nice. But if you don't get the opportunity to go up there and you want to get something from the store, get a Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc is not too sweet, but it's a little bit sweeter than a Pinot would be. It will counteract all the food that you're eating. Your taste buds get so oversaturated on Thanksgiving that a wine doesn't have a chance. So this is not the day. It's not the day to break out your really good bottles of wine. Keep them for another day. do something a little more bland, a little more mild, because your taste buds need mild at a dinner with so much variety.
Other questions?
Mr. Gilmartin?
Can you talk a little bit more about the cork and how you should respond when you're handed the cork?
Well, the reason they give you the cork is basically for you to look at it. It's not really to sniff it because people will smell it. But if it's moldy, you'll know it by looking at it. You don't need to stick it up to your nose. You want to look at the cork. You want to make sure it doesn't look too absorbed. If it has grown, that means air has gotten in. Air has pushed up against that cork and has been separating it. If it's green, well, that's obviously a bad sign as well. But the biggest thing, honestly, is if it's dry. If it's dry and looks really brittle, then air definitely got in for an extended period of time. And the wine is not going to be up to what it should be. So, another good point about the cork, just because it's a twist-off bottle, don't think it's bad. Twist-offs are much better. It will never go bad. It's better for the environment. And countries like Australia and New Zealand are only twist-off bottles now. It's much better for the wine. You can never waste your money on a bad bottle.
Can you yell, Matt, or do you need me?
I need you.
Okay.
No, I don't. Hey, what do you think about box wines?
Box wine, same thing.
As opposed to like the cork thing, but
You know what? Box wine is better. It's a stigma that we have against wine in a box. It's sealed in plastic. Air never touches it. You can keep that in the refrigerator for 30 days. A bottle of wine you have to throw out after a day. But people have this, it's just one of those things. You wouldn't go and serve a Big Mac to someone on your second date because even if a Big Mac tastes good to you. Well, there's nothing wrong with the Big Mac. If you like it, you like it. This box wine, if you like it, you like it. There's nothing wrong with it. But people see a box and they freak. It actually is better for your wine. You can keep a red wine for triple the amount of time in a box because air never gets into it. And right now, the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board brought in the Hardy's line. It's from Australia. It's Hardy's, and it's called Hardy's Postal or Hardy's Stamp Collection. The box has stamps of kangaroos all over it. The wine's fantastic. I've been serving it at my bar since we opened. Now that it's in a box, I'm probably going to have to stop because people are going to see it and be like, oh, that's boxed wine. But it's really good. So don't go by that stuff because that's just perception. It's not taste. So I hope that answers your question. All right.
No, there's a question
Over
right
here.
here.
Yes, and they would do it sooner if Italy and France would get behind it. Cork, it's a natural product. I mean, they don't want to, the push for green is on. And even though they can use cork, post-consumer cork, it's still just, it's not necessary. They're doing it out of tradition, not technology. Technology says that a twist-off cap is better for the wine. But it's the old world, the European countries, that really put their foot down. But it's going to be a regulated thing. Small vineyards will be able to cork if they want to. But to be able to produce in the mass market and to get distribution rights, they're going to have to conform. So the days of cork will be gone. So if you try to keep them in a jar to make cork boards or placemats or whatever, start collecting now.
MJ, we have a question here.
Sure.
I use a pump when my wine is left over and I'm saving it, but
Yep.
I read an article where that doesn't really work.
It does, short term. A white wine in the refrigerator pumped is good for 3 or 4 days. A red wine that's pumped is good for a day. But wine, this is the biggest thing about my bar in particular. I really won't serve wine that's been open for more than a day. As soon as air hits the wine, it changes. It's not the way it's supposed to taste. A red wine is supposed to hit air for a little while to let it breathe, but that's it. It's not supposed to sit open for days at a time. So you can cork it up, you could put a pump on it. That will help by hours, and the pump will help by a day. But the only real way to get the wine to be preserved is to add nitrous into it and cork it. And I'm one of those people that people keep asking me why I haven't gotten the cuvee system to pump the nitrous into it. I don't really like the idea of pumping gas into the wine, even though it's completely fine. And a lot of places use it, and there's nothing wrong with it. That really is the only way. You have to push the oxygen out to keep the wine the same. But as far as can I pump it and drink it, the following Saturday? No, I mean, you can drink it, but it's going to be vinegar.
Okay. That was a great job.
Yes.
Oh, John?
Okay, I'm the perfect guy to talk about. So
Yeah.
I have a question for you. You touched on this for Thanksgiving, which is great, but as the holidays come up, you're invited to somebody's house for dinner. You don't know if they're serving steak, chicken, fish. What's a good wine to bring just for whatever?
Again, that whole pairing of wine thing is definitely, there's a lot to be said about it. White wines, go with fish because a red wine will kill its flavor. That is something that's very true. However, most people, if you're coming over to bring a gift, you bring something you know they're going to drink. Don't worry about what they're making. So again, Pinot Noir, Pinot Grigio, Riesling, something that's mild with nothing too bold. Because even a Pinot Noir, it's red, so they say don't eat it with chicken. It's not going to, you're going to be able to still taste both. So I would just always say go with something mild, like a Pinot Noir, or a Pinot Grigio, or a Riesling, something like that.
MJ, thank you very much. Can we
No
give him a
problem.
great big round of applause?
Hope you guys like the ones.
And by the way, if you could visit MJ's bars in the 200 block of Penn Avenue. To what, MJ?
244, I'm right next to the old Pub Charles,
There
best
you
landmark
go.
in the world.
244, please go and visit. The bar is wonderful. It's Dionysus downtown. And you walk in there and you feel like, if you haven't been, like you're in a neat little Manhattan bar. So go visit him. He does a great job, and he's a great supporter of the community, so help him out, please.
Test.
And next up, we have the executive chef of Carmen's at the Radisson at Lackawanna Station, Mr. Lenny DeLuca.
Hello, everyone.
Sounds like it.
Good evening. Thanks for coming this evening. First off, we're going to start with a tomato bruschetta. Some ripe plum tomatoes. Everybody like garlic? Okay, a little bit of garlic in there. Some red onion. A little bit of capers. And some fresh basil and parsley. And add a little olive oil to it.
Lenny, that's some olive oil.
Just a little bit. And a little bit of salt and pepper. I like to use kosher salt and a cracked black pepper. I feel that it has less iodine in it, and it's better to the palate. And we're going to go ahead and give this a taste to see how it truly is. This time of year, over at the hotel, I'll take my tomatoes in on a daily basis, and I'll put them in the hallway in a cool spot, probably for 2 or 3 days to make sure that they ripen up. I don't know, it's hard to get ripe tomatoes this time of year. And use just a little bit more, and I think we're good to go with that. We're going to let that rest and mature for a little bit, and then we're going to get into some garnishing. I don't know if you can see these or not, but these are different beets that you can buy at Wegmans and things, from places like that. This is a lotus root that you can buy if you ever worked with that. You can cook this in some turmeric and vinegar, and it colors it nice. But during the holidays, this makes a beautiful garnish. Also with the lemon, I like to do simple crowns. Get a sharp knife. Just go around and around and around. Not to cut yourself here. One more. And then I can take like either some simple paprika or some Old Bay, and we can add to the tips there. A little bit of rosemary inside that. Another item I like to do with a lemon is, I'm not quite sure the name of this one, is if you take your lemon and you kind of go around on an angle here. Just let the knife do the work. And then I like to tie a little ribbon with this through here. And that makes a nice little garnish also. Okay. Another garnish I like to do, these are made out of cheeses. All right, it's a Asiago Parmesan cheese. I've added a little parsley to it. This is a Teflon pan. I'm just going to put a nice little pinch in there. A little bit more. There's no oil in there. The natural oils will come out. And we're going to make like a little bit of a pancake and let that go there. Another thing we like to do is seasoned oils, infused oils, basil, garlic. You can do sun-dried tomato. Just going to make a little noise here. Rosemary. But today I'm going to use some fresh parsley and some basil. Touch of salt and pepper. This is going to go on the plate also, so everything needs to be seasoned. You want to build your layers. You don't want any bland or naked items on your plate. And it's as simple as that. This will hold for a good week or two, and this is your finished product right here. It'll separate, but it's okay to have broken vinaigrettes or oils and just have a lot of fun with that. This is coming along nicely. And we're just going to let that cook a little bit more. What I have here is an egg crate, and it allows me to, if you want to make flat little ones like this, just go ahead and lay them flat on a sheet pan or a cooking surface. These here are like little tulips. They make great little items to put sauces in or some tomato product. You can even garnish them in your pasta dishes, and it's 100% cheese, so it's a nice accompaniment.
Lenny, how did you get that? Did you just put that in the crate soft and then it melts into that form?
As you'll see, it's coming together here really nice.
Okay.
It's very pliable. You can do this in an oven also. You can lay this out on a sheet pan, like 350 degrees for maybe 10 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. It's just cheese and a little bit of parsley in here. You'll see it's coming together and natural oils are coming out. Teflon pan. We just want to brown to one side. It's sort of like a Play-Doh consistency right now. I'll get another minute or two with this.
Lenny, that is a Teflon pan?
It is. And then we're just going to go ahead and turn this out. It's very hot.
Len, how do you know when it's ready to do that?
It's lightly browned. You'll see when it all comes together. Now, you can just go ahead and
So
form it into the egg crate. Put it into any shape that you wanted, whether you wanted a tulip or a rose type thing.
So it kind of gets crinkly on the edges when you're ready to put it out, take it out?
You'll see a little browning on the edges there, yep.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Then, or you
And
can...
then again, you see when it cools, it's very pliable and stuff, but it's very tasty. Okay. Tonight I have a sample for you. We're going to do some grilled garlic shrimp with the bruschetta. I guess you guys all smelled the garlic when you came in. So these are just simple shrimp. Now these are large shrimp. These are 8 to 12s. And whenever buying anything such as like shrimp or scallops, there are 8 to 12s, there's 10 to 20s, there's 16 to 20s. The smaller the number, the larger the shrimp. It means per pound. So again, a little bit of olive oil in there. Touch of salt and pepper. And while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and set your plate up here. This one here.
You're all getting a sample of this too. Should be here soon. Hope you brought your appetites.
Might even be able to put 2 on each plate this evening. And that's about it. While this is cooking, does anybody have any questions?
Lenny, the shrimp, when is it ready?
When it's done. You're like my wife, how long, how long,
Does
how
it
long?
change color?
It will change color. You're going to be able to see on the inside. It'll be an opaque consistency. You'll see the tail really kind of curl up. A lot of people overcook their shrimp. You know, you can always cook something more. You can't uncook something. So we just want to go ahead and flip them around. These are peeled and deveined, frozen.
So you don't really cook it that long.
No, it's going to take about 2-3 minutes. If you ever want to practice at home sauteing or whatever, or doing for omelets, you can take some kosher salt, you push some kosher salt in there, and you go ahead and you try and get that little flip in your wrist. Do it over the sink, or do it over the garbage, or do it outside, but just get that down where you're going to be able to do in that flipping action, and you'll be having a lot of fun. And then finally, this just comes out and on the plate, ready to go. That's about it. Any questions?
Lenny, the difference between kosher salt, sea salt, what is it? And what's better and why?
I like sea salt better than kosher salt. I think it has more of a natural flavor. There's different sea salts from around the world. There's different flavors. It comes from the soil and the earthiness that the sea is, rather the salt is harvested from. At home, I have the grinder, so I freshly grind my own salt. I freshly grind my own pepper. But as in for cooking for mass production, I like the kosher salt. It has a better texture to it. You have more control over it. It has less iodine in it.
And John, show those beets in the front that Lenny was speaking of. All 3 of those are different types of beets, Lenny?
This is actually a lotus root. This here is called a candy cane beet, and this is a watermelon beet.
Oh, yeah, that's neat.
This one.
And Wegmans has all of those?
I'm sorry?
Wegmans has all of those?
I'm sure they do. If not, you can speak to your produce manager, and they'll be able to get stuff in like that for you. Wegmans has a great, I got these through my purveyors, but Wegmans does have a great selection of some funky stuff. Don't be afraid to get little things like this. Try them. Do a little research, Google them, and have fun. Any questions?
We're going to take some questions from the audience. Lenny, could you just step down off the stage,
Sure.
just because they're going to get the next one, the table ready for Epicurean Delight. Okay, folks, how about questions? I know you have some.
Now they should start, yeah.
Sunita, Aurora, do you have anything?
Hi.
That's you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can keep it in the refrigerator also, but prior to using it, you want to bring it back up to room temperature.
I wonder, let's
All right.
see. We have to help them too.
Who else has a question?
How long would the oil stay for?
You know? Or I'll
Yes.
start bringing my stuff out as soon as they finish.
No, you can work with grated Parmesan, a panna grana, a pecorino. You're just going to have different textures and stuff like that. It may take a little bit longer to cook, but this one works really well for us.
Lenny, hold on, I have a question over here. Hold on.
Lenny, how do you cook the lotus roots? Do you just serve it raw, or do
You're
you...
going to poach them off in some liquid, such as with water and vinegar, so it's almost like a pickled beet type of action. You're going to put a little salt in there for flavor, and then you're just going to cool them down in the liquid itself so the dye actually takes to the root. It's a blonde root, so it'll take on any color that you want to like turmeric for yellow.
Got room for that?
You can actually put it with beets to get a little bit of red in there if you'd like.
Yep, get all that garnish.
And do you find them at Wegmans all the time?
At Wegmans all the time? No, you're going to see a lot of this stuff is seasonal.
Okay.
So, just have fun out there. There's gooseberries available right now. Just don't be afraid to try some new things or ask them about how I should use this. Google things. And you have the variety, the ability not to, I have to buy 5 pounds at a time, 10 pounds at a time, but you can get 1 or 2 or 3 things and just have some fun. Cactus root,
Okay,
there's a
well
lot
then
of
I'll
neat
put
things
this
out
one on
there.
this side.
And this appetizer, Lenny, would go, could you make, this could obviously be an entree as well, right?
Absolutely. We do all our appetizers that can be brought up to a larger portion.
Okay, who else has any other, we're serving now your sample of what Lenny just made. I'd also like to take this time too to thank channel ECTV, which has now moved down on your channel from 61 to 19. Anthony over here with the camera is doing a fine job of helping us. And this will be broadcast on ECTV for the next 5 events we have. You'll be able to see yourself, if you can, on TV, so watch them. Any other questions for Lenny? Going,
yeah, if
going,
you wanna
going,
carry the
gone.
tray
Let's give
out.
him a great big round of applause.
Thank you
Yep,
very much.
that's ready,
Luca.
yep.
Now, next up, how many people in this room have not heard of Epicurean Delight? See, nobody, Loretta or Anna Mae. They're here to show us a wonderful Anna Mae, or Loretta, exactly what is that called?
The chocolate cabbage cake?
Okay. Has anyone ever tasted their chocolate cabbage cake? I know some of you have, like maybe you, Kathy D, Ann, Kat. Tasted it.
I will,
It's delicious. They're going to show us how they make it, and I think they're going to give you a little sample of that as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So bear with us. Enjoy your appetizer.
Okay, these over here. That I want in the middle. Yep. Okay, that right here. And this. Asiago. Yeah, Asiago. I heard him say that. Oh. Okay. It is beautiful.
Pretty much, you know. Just
Loretta, are you ready?
Yes, I guess I'm ready.
And it's very pliable, like
Okay.
you want to put it over like
Well,
a shot glass or
you're
something.
going to see how easy it is.
Good old pinch.
And you're going to
Great
want to
garnish.
make one, I'm sure, for the holidays
Hey,
to
how are
impress
you?
all your guests.
Good, good.
I never
Yourself?
thought I could do
Me
it
too.
either, but when you break it down into steps, you really will see how easy it is. Well, first, I start by baking
Asiago,
my
Parmesan,
cakes
just a simple grated
in
Parmesan.
like these
Yeah.
Pyrex bowls I have. Now,
You can put
I
it in the
find
oven or
these
something,
really
if you
work
wanted to, you know,
good
make
for
little
me
patches on a sheet
because
pan,
they make a
finish
nice
it in the oven.
rounded
Neat, right?
cake. So if you find any kind of a bowl you're going to use, make sure that it's oven-proof too. And you don't want one where the sides are more like sloped. You know, you want that nice rounded, otherwise you'll end up with a football instead of a nice round cake. So after I bake the cake, then I level it off. Because, you know, it usually heats up a little bit in the middle. So you want to take and level it off. You don't have to worry about getting it really, really perfectly level, because shortly I'll tell you
These
why.
guys over here, we'll get the
So you
staff,
have
I
your
guess.
cakes, there's the cakes are baked. And then I have a little bit of truffle cream here. I anchor my cake down with this. And that's just a mixture of heavy cream,
One.
semi-sweet chocolate, and butter. So
You said that's like a glue,
It's
right?
great,
That'll hold it in
Parmesan
place?
that's going to hold
And
my
it's a
cake
garnish.
onto
It's
the
like
dish.
a crouton,
Otherwise,
if you
it'll
would,
just
or
like a
a,
ball and might go rolling.
You know, you can do either
Okay, so
like a
then I
nice,
put the cake
huh?
on the dish.
Oh, it's delicious. Oh, are you ready for one?
And then my next step is I use a little bit of raspberry.
You know, they make a great vessel for like a
glaze.
sauce or a garnish in a
And
pasta
that's just
dish.
raspberry jam that's been warmed, and then you sieve it through a sieve to get the seeds out. So I put some of that on.
We can get some.
Nice, throw some of that.
Forks.
And the next step is you're going to do more of truffle cream. Nice big dollop of that right on there. You never have too much truffle cream. Truffle cream, you know what truffle cream is?
But it,
Truffle cream is almost like a nice soft fudge. So you just spread it in the middle.
some more forks.
Loretta, also, when you took that cake out, you tipped it backwards, right? The bottom part went
More
down
forks.
on the
We need some
on
more
the
forks.
base of the cake plate.
Yes, because you want the two level parts to be right in the middle,
Okay.
like this.
You got it.
Okay, there you
There
go.
you go.
There you go, the start of that. Okay, you following me so far?
Loretta, it looks like a chocolate bowling ball.
Yeah, if we have the little hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing,
Okay.
it's so much easier
have one
if you're
also?
going to do this in your house.
Yeah, garlic. You
Because
gotta have some
you
garlic.
have to keep the chocolate at a certain temperature, your truffle creams, and then later I'll show you a ganache. They tend to set up really quick. So if you're at home, you can nuke them, you can work with it. Each step, like,
Did you eat?
you put it in the refrigerator to chill it down. Now, like when I
Some more
make my
forks
cake,
there.
I actually like to really, really get it
don't.
cold. And then when you go to even to level it off, it's so much
Have
easier
another
to
one.
cut it. And So if you can keep everything
What's he doing, burning
like your
it?
steps cold, not your truffle cream and your ganache, that you want at a certain temperature that you can spread. Okay, so now we're on to the fun part. We're
have some
going
right
to
over here.
start our
In the
leaves.
basket,
That's
right
where
by
it gets
the-
the name chocolate cabbage leaves. And
don't
you start with,
So you're Italian?
you need about 5 leaves to cover the inner head, and you want them to be almost like this shape, like the cup of your hand. That's a good shape, because they have to fit around the cake. And then you need about 6 or 7 outer leaves. And your outer leaves, like, see how they fan out a little bit more? They're not as cupped as these. And these leaves are going to go for the outer leaves around your cake. So what you do, just I have melted chocolate here. And like for the inner ones, this is the confusing part. It took me so long to get this right. For the inner ones, you're going to coat the inner leaf, the inside of the leaf. And we use we use a good Callebaut chocolate, so it melts beautifully. You know, you can either do it over a double boiler, like with water, or you can do it in the microwave. But just put it like for a few seconds at a time. Don't just put it in there for 5 minutes, or you'll have a lot of burnt chocolate. And I can tell you I've burnt enough chocolate to know. You just keep stirring it and putting it back in. Okay, so, and you don't have to go all the way to the edge either, because then you have some room, like to be able to peel it off later. And judge it accordingly. Now, if you get a really big leaf, say like if this leaf is really big, don't feel like you have to go all the way to the edge. You want to judge almost the size that you need for your cake. Okay, so after you do that, then the outer one, you coat the outer side. Yeah. And it could be a little messy, but hey, it's chocolate. It's edible. Okay. Then after you do this, see, then you would really chill these well until this coat sets up. And after this coat sets up, then you go ahead and you double coat them and let that set up too. Okay. And you can make these even ahead of time, because sometimes it's very hard to find. You don't go to the store and buy like, okay, you need 5 leaves for here, and you need 6 leaves for there. You don't go and buy like 10 heads of cabbage. If you go in the grocery store, a lot of times they have like the loose leaves that nobody wants even, so you can pick up a few, you can chocolate them, then you peel them off and you can freeze them. So then after you've chocolate them and they've set up, you peel them right off like this.
Oh my,
And see, then you have the imprint. So what happens, you have the imprint. So what happens, you have now the inner leaf that you did for the inner, this one that you did for the first one, you coated the inside. Now you have the print on the outside. So the inner is now the outer side, and the outer is now the inner side. Okay? So did I confuse you? Do I have you all confused? Once you do it a few times, and you have the leaf and said, oh darn, I did the wrong side. And you would be amazed sometimes how durable these leaves are that you can use them over and over. Certain times of the year, they're almost like plastic. And you can coat them, peel them off, and use them over again. Okay, so then once you have that done, now you take your ball here, and you just slather on the truffle cream. And see what I mean about saying it doesn't have to be level? Because boy, who doesn't like a little extra chocolate? Yeah. So you coat the whole thing. You don't have to get like to the very, very bottom. Just really. And I mean, you need it to be at the perfect consistency, like for spreading. And if it isn't, just keep like, nuking it until, and if it turns to soup, you don't have to worry about it because you just let it set and it'll harden back up again. And then you're back to square one. Then you have to loosen again. Then it hardens up. But if you can work kind of quick, you'll get it done.
you have to keep it moist before you put the chocolate on top then, right, Loretta?
You have to do what?
Does it have to stay moist before those leaves go on top then, or does it okay if it gets a little stiff?
Oh no, this can get stiff because
Okay.
usually what I do, after I get this all coated like this, then I will put this in the cooler, the refrigerator,
okay.
to make it cold. It helps to make the other leaves adhere a little bit faster. I just go around and... So did anybody say here they've ever had it? They've ever tried it? You've seen it, but you've never...
A whole
Yeah.
table down here has had it.
Ah, okay. Yeah, when I first started making it and it went to parties, people didn't know what to do with it. It went like on whole dessert tables, and they thought it was just actually a head of cabbage dipped in chocolate. They didn't know it was edible. So then once, our waitresses and that says, oh no, that's all edible, you can eat that. Well then, then it was a different story. Okay, so now this, ideally, I would put in my refrigerator and let it get like really chilled. Okay, then you start with your leaves. Now these, see the leaves like this, that's going to against the ball first. Sometimes you might have some that are a little bit, come out a little bit flatter. Well, maybe that's the one you want to put right on the top. So then you just put that right on the top like that. And then you just start working your way around the cake and adhering your leaves. Now you can use more truffle cream, and you can really, goober it on there. Yeah, just put it on there, baby. Put it on there. The thing is, somebody's going to eat it. It's not going to go to waste, let me tell you.
Loretta, Pat Create wants to know she thinks we should raffle off who can lick that bowl when you're finished.
Well, there'll be 1, 2, 3 things to lick. Okay, so you just keep working your way around the cake. And you want to try to get as much surface to surface, where it can adhere. Okay, and then the next one just goes on like that. And just keep turning and go. Do you see it coming together already? Can you see it? Now see, it's not that hard, is it? No. Yeah. And it's actually fun. It's a fun dessert to make. Because then when you're done and you take it somewhere or whatever, oh, you get the oohs and ahs. How'd you do that? How'd you do that?
Share this with people?
This is the first time. Gee, this is going to end my career with Epicurean. Everybody will be making their own. I'll be out of a job. Okay, and usually that's what it does take. It takes 5 for the inner, and then it takes, depending on the size leaves, about 6 or 7 for the outer. Okay. So then see, I would put that in, that step, I would put it back in the refrigerator to really set up good. And if you see, say maybe you have one leaf that doesn't want to just stay there. You have one that just wants to keep falling off. When I'm at home, I just find maybe a bag of chocolate chips or something that is malleable, and I just put it up against it until it sets up. And you can do that too, anything just to hold it. And then once it sets up, it's there. Now, the next step is, this was a mixture of semi-sweet chocolate, heavy cream, and butter. That's truffle cream. Ganache is almost the same thing, but the proportions are a little bit different. And as I said, this is what I call my super glue, because this sets up a little bit stiffer and it holds it a little bit better. So now with the super glue, you take your outer leaf. Now you have to decide just exactly maybe where you want to put it. Sometimes they'll just fall right into place. So then you can take just a nice big gob of this again. I can feel these getting soft as I'm working here, probably the lights. And then you just put it up against your cabbage like that. And what I use, back at work at the shop, I have lots of bags of chocolate chips, so I do that. But all you need is just something wadded up like saran foil, just wad it up, and that'll hold the leaf for a while until you get it into the cooler. And you just keep, again, work your way all around the cake. Make sure you also put some underneath. Put a good dab on top, and then put another dab underneath. Okay, and then that one goes up against. Okay, and just keep turning as you go around. Okay, and they usually they just seem, just right to fall into place. Now, where I got the idea to do this, I saw it on one of a cookbook once. It was right on the cover of the cookbook. And I read it and I thought, oh, that's too hard. I can't do that. Well, it wasn't long after that I saw Martha Stewart. She was doing it on a TV show. And I thought, well, she didn't make it look too hard, so if Martha can do it, I can do it. little did I, after some trial and errors, then I finally figured out how to do it. But I came up with certain things that I liked that Martha did. Like, you know, as far as like, you know, this ganache seems to hold so much better than melted chocolate. Melted chocolate, you have to wait a longer time for it to set up. I should have some more. Oh,
Loretta, is this one of your most popular desserts?
yes, this is one of our most popular requested desserts is this. Yes.
And the reason they did this is because we want you to take away something you can do at home. And really, I mean, I know I'm the last person to talk because I don't bake, but it doesn't seem that hard to do, really.
Really? No,
I mean, Katie Gilmore and I'll be coming over and we'll do it together, but I don't think it looks that... Yeah.
No. I mean, look, now how long did that take me to put that together?
Beautiful.
I mean, you know, there it is. And once it sets up, but if you do like your prep work like ahead of time, like, you know, get all your leaves like together and chocolated and in your freezer. They, you know, wrap them well and they hold well in the freezer because the colder they are, the better they work with. So if you can do that part, and then you just bake the cake. I use our special dark chocolate, you know, cake. One mix fills both bowls. Don't worry about filling the bowls to the top because you really don't want them to the top. Then they just heave up too much. So usually when I put the batter in the bowl, maybe it's a little beyond half a bowl full of the batter. And but just make sure if you're going to do bowls. I scoured everywhere to get these bowls. I mean, yard sales and that. Now, they have, I think, metal bowls that are round that you can buy. But these work for me, so I've just always just kept using these.
Now, Loretta's going to step down, and we're going to take a couple questions because we have to clean that table off for Stephanie to come up next. So, Loretta, if you would just step down and we'll answer, because I know people have questions. Nice round, nice warm applause, round of applause. Epicurean Delight does a phenomenal job. All right, we're starting the questions. Hold on.
Loretta, it's Pat Priate. How are you? Loretta, over here.
I can't even see you with the light. Oh.
You make it look so easy, but did you coat the leaves with anything? Because I've tried doing things with chocolate, and when I pull them off, they break. And you made it look like, oh, this is nothing.
Okay, what kind of chocolate did you use?
Everything's behind stage.
I mean, did you use, like as I said, we use a good chocolate.
Like Schappenberger, whatever it's called, I use that. I use different good chocolate.
Okay, because I have even made it with like Nestle's chocolate chips at home.
Yeah, I tried.
But I find you have to put a little shortening in there to make them more liquid because they melt way too stiff. But it will work, but you just have to liquefy.
Did you eat?
You just put the chocolate in.
Right, that's all I use.
Pulled it right off.
Right, but you make sure you double coat them too. You know, let the first coat really set up that it's cold, and then double coat it, and then again, maybe you tried peeling yours off too if they weren't quite cold enough.
Well, I didn't try making the cabbage. That's a little, but I've tried little leaves and things, and you know, and they break. Like I put them in the refrigerator to chill, and I pull it off, and it just crumbles.
Okay, maybe you have to let it temper a little at room temperature too, because you can coat like any kind of a leaf, like, you know, rose leaves or whatever if you want a chocolate leaves. But, you know, don't take them right cold out of the freezer or the refrigerator and try to peel them, because sometimes they'll just shatter. But if you just let them come to room temperature, just, you know, for a few, like a minute or so, they'll peel right off.
You want to put the tree on the riser?
Yeah, because
Loretta, how much shortening would you put in to something like that?
oh, say like if you had,
If you had a bag of chips, how much shortening?
I would put in probably about 2 tablespoons of shortening.
2
But maybe-
tablespoons?
Yeah, but maybe don't add it all at once. Like put in a good tablespoon and then see if it's still not fluid, then put a little bit more. But
Okay.
I don't think you would have to use more than that.
All right, we have a question right here at this table.
Yeah, you could take any of those.
How would you serve a cake like that? And cut it and serve it? Do you serve it like with ice cream or something? Or is it just like that? How do you section it?
You can serve it with, like, you know, if you want ice cream, but I mean, the fun part is when you see people don't know how to attack it. So they'll start, okay, breaking off the leaves, and then once they find out that there's an actual cake in the middle, it's like, you know, you just hack it away and have fun. Have fun with it, yeah. You can't really cut a nice serving of a piece, you know, you get like small pieces and yeah.
Sort of pulled apart. Matt,
Yeah, you're right. Pluck the
Matt,
leaves off.
do you, yeah, no. Matt, do you have a question? Matt. Do you have a question? Just ask the cutting, we already did that. All right, MJ, hold on.
How many would that serve? Like, how do you, like, because you can't tell how big the cake is.
Well, you saw the cake that I started with was
Yeah.
a good-sized ball.
But when you add on all that chocolate, it's probably going to make it a lot richer, right?
Right, right.
So you think a cake like that would be for how many?
Oh, you probably could get at least, I'd say probably almost 20, at least 20 servings. Yeah, because sometimes people just want a leaf. They just want a part of a leaf.
They don't eat the chocolate, just,
Yeah,
or
they
the
don't-
cake.
Yeah, right.
Anyone else have questions for Loretta? Hold on, please. Excuse me. Excuse me.
You guys are going to do the...
You had the truffle cream and the
snowflakes,
ganache.
okay?
Why did you use the two different things instead of just one?
I said the truffle cream is more malleable, and the ganache is like a super glue. It sets up harder, and that way it really holds it better, and it doesn't soften as quick as if at room temperature like your truffle cream would. So I find the proportions, there's more chocolate into the ganache than there is into the truffle cream, and so it really holds better. Yeah. Okay,
Other questions?
Who's gonna go home and try a cake? Let's see the hands, let's see.
Katie, raise your hand. You're doing it. Any other questions for Loretta? Remember, Epicurean Delight, one of your favorite Oh, wait, we have, I'm sorry, Pat. Hold on, one more question.
Loretta, I never understand what tempered chocolate is. What is that?
What is what?
Tempered chocolate.
Tempered chocolate is like, it's a process where you bring you melt your chocolate and then you add other like cold chocolate into it, and then it like sort of like tempers it. We don't really do, like a lot of places that do a lot with chocolate like that have the actual machines that temper chocolate. But like, you know, for what we usually do, it's just like over a double boiler, or you can do it in a microwave. But as I said, just put it for a few seconds, stir it, you know, give it a few more seconds and stir it. Yeah.
Everybody a nice, warm thank you to Loretta. Epicurean Delight.
And just remember, if you want to impress your guests at the holidays coming up, and you don't want to try the cake yourself, well, Epicurean Delight, I will make it for you. Okay? Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Loretta. Also, next up, we have Stephanie Decker, her daughter Madison, and Steph.
And I brought my sister Andrea.
Andrea, they're coming. Whoa. Euro Cafe in Clark Summit. They're going to show us some different techniques for decorating your holiday cookies. So Steph, go right ahead. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Lori. As Lori said, I'm Stephanie Decker. I co-own the Euro Cafe in Clark Summit with 3 sisters. We have 10 children among us all, so I'm used to cooking with my family, so I thought I'd bring some with me. Madison and my sister Andrea came to help me. When I thought about what would be something fun to do tonight, coming into holiday season, that you guys could maybe take home and do yourself, I thought cookies. Cookies are so much a part of our celebration, and they have gone in recent years from more than just something with coffee at the end of the meal to really art. You know, coming into November and December, cookies will be on the cover of Martha Stewart and Bon Appetit. Unfortunately, no more gourmet, but they'll be on the cover of all these food magazines. And I wanted to show you some techniques and some presentations that I think are really fun and interesting to do with cookies. The first one that we're going to do tonight would be Thanksgiving theme. And we did sugar cookies in the shape of a leaf. So I used my favorite cookie dough. You can use yours. You know, somebody mentioned Wegmans before. As home cooks these days, we are so fortunate. the items that we can get our hands on today, we just simply couldn't get 10 years ago. You can buy these already cut out at the Euro Cafe or Wegmans or I'm sure other stores, or you can use your own favorite recipe. So we started with a leaf and some royal icing. Does anybody here know what royal icing is? This is my glue.
Julie does.
Ganache is Loretta's glue. Royal icing is mine. It's egg whites, confectioner's sugar, and lemon, and that's it. And you whip it just the way you'd whip meringue, but you really can't ruin it. You just I turn my mixer or your beater's on high, let it go for about 5 minutes till you get some nice thickness and volume, and then I just color it with whatever food color I want to do. So we picked some nice autumn colors today, an orange, and then kind of a russet color. And the royal icing, you can just thin with a little bit of water. You want it to just be spreadable like this. And I tend to use things like spoons and butter knives and straws and things that everybody can get their hands on to cook with. So what I'm going to do is take my cookie and just dab. I like to do less to begin with. I can always add more, but it's hard to take away. And spread the royal icing to the edges.
Steph, tell them royal icing consists of what again?
Egg whites. I do 7 egg whites, 1 bag of confectionery sugar that you buy at the store, and the juice of 1 whole lemon. The lemon flavors it a little bit, but it's also good. You know, lemon is one of my favorite things to cook with, but it's a natural cleanser, deodorizer. It's really good for, some people are really leery about using raw egg products. You know, even in the age where sushi is so popular and people eat medium rare burgers, people are still really nervous about raw egg products, and lemon is a great way to neutralize any of that bacteria that people may be afraid of. But if you still don't want to use a raw egg product, they sell royal icing powder at AC Moore. So you can, you know, just add water and make your own. So basically what I did is just move my royal icing to the edge, and now, I don't know, Mad, will you hold this up? What we did on another one is a technique called marbleizing, which is just really pretty, and you're just marbleizing 2 colors. And so I'm taking the darker color, and I'm just going to add, and I tell my kids this all the time when they think, Mom, I'm going to mess it up. I say, art is up to you. Art is whatever you make it. So I just put a couple dabs of color on there, and I'm just going to take my toothpick and just kind of drag it through both colors to marbleize these colors together. You know, and you can add a little bit more in there to this part of the leaf. And then you see when it dries, and it takes about an hour for this icing to dry, and it dries to such a nice, shiny sheen there. And then what we do, we have a plain one here. Andrea has a food marker down there, which is another fantastic thing. You can buy at craft stores or Walmart. And then you can personalize these for your place settings. These will you just write on that one? You can write, you know, Aunt Mary or Grandma, and this could go right on your Thanksgiving plate. You know, it just makes a beautiful, and it comes in all different colors. These are great. At the Euro Cafe, we get so many cookie orders for birthday parties. You know, we do crowns and teacups, and we do all these kinds of parties, and you can do this yourself, and you can have access to these food writers, you know, and personalize. We just shipped a grandma whose granddaughter lives in California, wanted to do something special, so she sent her Princess Ava teacups, you know, and we wrote Princess Ava on these teacups and shipped them to California, and she had a nice contribution to her granddaughter's party.
Steph, you did the Timmy's Town frogs too, didn't you?
We did.
Last year?
Yes. We did. The second thing that I wanted to show you are cookies as ornaments. Now, we brought some gingerbread cookies. Again, favorite recipe. You know, you can buy them uniced from us or from stores. What I did to make them into ornaments is I just took a straw, you know, unwrapped it, and when the dough was unbaked, just poked a hole through. So then when it comes out, you have your hole. I just took a little bit of ribbon. You see Madison hung a few on the tree for us there. They're beautiful on a mantle. These also make great gift tags. You know, put your ribbon in, write with your food marker, you know, to Lori, Merry Christmas, Stephanie, and attach it to your gift.
Is that my gift this year, Steph? Already you told me?
Yeah.
I'll be waiting.
Mm-hmm. So what Andrea is doing now is taking just white royal icing, and she is just piping lines. So simple, but she's typing the veins on the gingerbread snowflake on there. And then we're just taking some coarse sugar, which again, you can buy anywhere. It kills me when I see at the grocery store that they'll sell you 1 ounce of red or pink or blue coarse sugar for like $4. Buy a pound of it for $1.69. Get your hands in there with some food coloring, take a spoon and make it yourself. You know, something else I did last year, I did gingerbread Christmas trees, and I just did the edges of them in white, this coarse sugar, and I put them in a big, long platter of coarse sugar with white votives, and it cost me $4, and it was stunning. You know, the way the lights from the votives danced off, the sparkles of the sugar, it was just beautiful.
Steph, if you don't have one of those icing bags, can you make it like I've seen people use?
Ziploc, yeah.
Exactly. That's okay?
Ziploc, yeah. You know, the chef from the Radisson said it, I say it, I think start little and then you can always go back. Snip a little tiny tip off the end of your Ziploc bag. Zip it up. If it's too hard to pipe and you need more, then go and, you know, snip a little bit more off. But absolutely, you don't have to have a piping bag and a tip. You can do all this stuff from home.
Piping bags, though, have different tips on them, like that they
No,
can...
you buy the
No,
different
but yeah,
tips.
but you can put different ones
Absolutely.
on, right? Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
And you can get those at any craft store,
Yeah,
any
AC
baking?
Moore, Walmart has them. I've even
Okay.
seen them at Wegmans. And what Madison's doing is while the icing is still wet, she's just sprinkling the sugar and then she's going to shake the excess off.
And then they shine.
And then they shine, and they're beautiful. You know, they're a great gift to give or to decorate a tree. I think that, you know, with the entire green movement that we're seeing, we're going to see a lot of green trees, you know. And last year, what we did in our neighborhood, we have the islands where we are, and we did all the neighborhood kids all brought an edible, animal-friendly ornament for the tree. So there was cranberries and popcorn. We did these cookies and we iced them with peanut butter and put cranberries and nuts and granola. And the kids just had a blast, and it was fun and it was festive, and you know, I think everybody had a good time. So,
Steph, you know how and I look all the time. Those cookie cutters you have are pretty big, and
Yeah.
and I think it works better when you. Where do you get them?
again, the access that everyone has to the stuff that I couldn't get 10 years ago is amazing. One of my favorite websites is coppergifts.com. You could get any cookie cutter, and like you mentioned, Timmy's Town, they created a frog based on her logo for us.
So they'll do, this company will do that?
They'll do it. You know, you give her coppersmith the design and they'll make it, but they have thousands and thousands. They have all the supplies you would need to make cookies. They have royal icing mix, colored sugar, piping bags, anything you would need to do these projects.
And that's the website again for that?
Coppergifts.com.
Okay, that's great. Okay, how about your, Stephanie, thank you, and everyone up there, thanks for helping. Any questions on the cookies? We have, come on, cookies are the best dessert. See, no, we're showing you how you can go home and do this. Does anyone have any questions? Joe? No. Michael?
What's the most popular cookie that you're asked to create?
Wedding. We do a lot of wedding favors. We have a 4-tiered wedding cake that we do as favors for weddings a lot. Oh, we also have an engagement ring, which again, I got from this website. It's a big ring. On the website is a product called Luster Dust. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. You just dissolve it into a clear extract, which you can get at grocery stores like vanilla or almond, and then you brush it on top of the royal icing. So we do these big engagement rings. You know, it could be platinum, it could be gold, and then this coarse sugar as the rock is just beautiful. So I'd say wedding. Either the wedding cake or the engagement ring are probably the most popular we do.
Any up?
Yeah, you know, when I'm using them for ornaments, thick is better for me because the stress of hanging from the string on a thin cookie would just make it crack. And also when I'm doing them as a favor or a place card, a lot of times, you know, you're setting them down on someplace and you don't want the possibility that they'll crack.
Right, yeah.
So I like a thicker cookie, personally. I roll these to about 1/8 of an inch. And you know, that's funny because I mentioned that we're all sisters and we all have different methods, but so many times people will say to me, how do you roll out dough? I hate rolling out the cookie dough. I never get it even. It burns. I just like a lot of flour and a good wooden rolling pin. That's me. I just, you know, I work it, I get it even. My sister Sarah today was helping me roll these out, and I'm looking at her, and I was just telling Andrew this, and I said, Sarah, you roll your cookies on a cutting board? And she's like, yeah, it's so much easier for me. It always sticks to the stainless steel or the counter. And Andrea said, I just thought it's because she didn't want to clean up the counter. She could just throw the cutting board in the dishwasher. But yeah, I like mine about 1/4 of an inch.
You know, it's after me. I hear you should slightly undercook the cutout cookies because they just taste better.
They taste better, they get brittle. Yes, I agree. Most people are looking for, and everything in cooking does something we call carryover cooking. You know, you've probably read this, when you're making a roast, you should pull it about 5 or 10 degrees below what you want it because that residual heat is going to carry over. Same thing with cookies, especially, you know, when they're on the hot cookie sheet. So I like just a little bit of golden around the edges and the center to look, like you said, Lori, just a little bit underdone. And then by the time they carry over, they're going to be perfect.
Questions for our girls? Hold on, one more we have, Steph.
Okay.
Can you freeze cookie dough, and if so, how long?
Cookie dough, yes. I like to do the one month on stuff like that, as long as you wrap it really well. 1 month. And then just thaw it at room temperature. I don't really like microwave thawing for cookie dough because you tend to get the butter on the outside is going to melt into it while the center stays frozen. So I would just leave it, you know, either on your countertop or refrigerator and then countertop and thaw it that way. And you can also freeze these cookies. Cookies, I'm sure everybody's, you know, been and baked for bridal showers in this area. Cookies freeze really well also when they're made.
One more.
For cookies frozen, again, I like to go no longer than about a month. I think that's what I'm comfortable with, taste-wise.
How do you maintain the copper shine on the copper cookie cutouts? Better than stainless? Because stainless get funky after a while.
You mean how do these stay so nice and? These are actually treated by the baker because a lot of the ingredients in the cookies react. But sometimes, like some of them that are older, will start to tarnish a little bit on me. And I like lemon juice and baking soda, just a nice grip. Some people use ketchup too. It's all about the acidity. But you've heard of ketchup too?
No, she said she likes the lemon juice idea.
I do too.
Yeah, they're neat. I love those cookie cutters. Well, any other questions? John?
Us doing it ourselves, but if we don't have time to do it, can you do custom for any of us or businesses to do custom
We
cookies?
do, yes, we do. We do that often. We do it in degrees too. I have a mom who loves to throw this Christmas party for her neighborhood, but she likes us to do all the dirty work. So she picks up the gingerbread ladies and the silver dragées and the bags of royal icing and the sugar, and then she just sets it up for the kids to play. So we do it like that, but we do. Like Laurie mentioned, we created the cookie for Timmy's Town Center. We saw the logo, gave the coppersmith, yes.
What he said was, can they, if they don't feel like doing the work at home, can Euro Cafe create something, their logo or something for them and make the cookies? And the answer, of course, is yes, right? And, well, okay, that's right. Any other ones? Okay, well, Stephanie, thank you very much. Andrea and Madison, thank you. Euro Cafe in Clark Summit, join them, go up and have wonderful lunch and get your cookies if you need them, and hopefully all these tips will help you with your cookie making this season. And there's also cakes from Epicurean in the back, the ones that they had on display that you can feel free to sample. And we'd like to thank you once again. I'd like to thank MJ Doherty from Dionysus Downtown, Lenny DeLuca from the Radisson, Carmen's at the Radisson Lackawanna Station. We had Loretta from Epicurean Delight and Stephanie Decker from Euro Cafe. We hope you enjoyed the evening. You have some ideas to take home and play with. And we'll see you next week on the 3rd, next month, the 3rd of December. Thank you.
What do you think, a box?